there's no words that make you or anybody else feel any better, but how are you trying to start the week off with your team?
Well, just trying to get better, right? Obviously, disappointing outing last weekend, and but that unfortunately happens sometimes, and you have to overcome adversity, and really that's kind of the lesson is we just got to go out and work hard, and try to correct some of the mistakes we made, and playing a good San Diego State team, and so. Really, it's about turning the page, and define the things that we need to improve on, and then work hard to do that.
And I know the last couple of weeks the goals have changed a little bit, but now you've got a rivalry game with an opponent that's got to be pretty determined after what you did to them here on this field last year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Playing for the oil can, it's always a rivalry game, and we pulled one out last year, at the end. So I know they'll be highly motivated to play, and we have to have a great week and match that, going in there to play them.
And what's the plan at the quarterback position at this point for Saturday night?
Mike should be ready to go. He's, like I said, he cleared protocol last Thursday, and so if everything goes fine this week through practice, then he'll start for us.
And Coach Sheffer, good morning.
Good morning.
On the topic of the quarterbacks, if Mikey is injured again, would you consider playing Jaden Mandel since we've seen what Logan Fife could do as a backup quarterback?
No. Logan did fine. Logan's our backup quarterback, and we have confidence in Logan, and he made some good plays, and we just have to have everybody around him do the same, so no, that wouldn't be the case.
Okay. And as far as the injuries to Gabriel Lightfoot and Johnny Hudson, I know Hudson played, but he was very limited. Are those injuries serious enough to where they might miss all of or part of the next two games?
Well, not sure. It's still early in the week, but they didn't practice at all last week, and Johnny went in there for a couple plays, but was really not very effective. He wanted to go in there and do what he could do, but really, probably shouldn't have gone in there. But so we'll see how it goes. I think they're better, but we'll see how it goes through the week here.
And what was the conversation like with Jalen Henderson when he transferred out? And why did you choose Logan Fife over Jalen Henderson last year as the backup quarterback?
Because we felt like Logan was a little bit more consistent in what we were doing, and I just wanted to be honest about it with him, and because people's clock's running, and so I don't want to mislead anybody and have any kid have a regret about something, so it was Logan had played better, and with the things that we were trying to get done, and and he's a good quarterback. It's just we, felt like Logan had won the backup job.
Morning, Coach. I know you always talk about the 24-hour rule, but after a game like that here at home, does that one stick with you a little bit longer? Does it sting a little bit more?
No, because you have to move on. Did it sting bad? Yeah, it stung bad. But they all, when it doesn't go your way, it definitely does. There's a lot riding on it, and we didn't, we didn't come close to playing our best football, and that was disappointing. But now, we have another game to play coming up here, and so we can't have a total hangover from it, and so we had to flush it, and now we move on. And that's kind of the best thing to do is when you can get into watching the new opponent, that kind of helps get you past that. But still continue to understand what we have to do through practice to improve on things we need to get better with.
It's Brady Hoke's last game with the program. They're 3-8. Is there any danger about playing a team that will obviously be inspired and pretty much has nothing to lose?
Absolutely. I mean, they have so many one-score games. They're a really good football team. You know, they've lost in overtime. They've lost a 2-point game. They're so close in most all their games. One score. So they're really good football team. They have a really good offensive line. Their quarterback's playing well. Good running backs. Defense runs around, plays really hard. Does a really good job. So, of course, yeah, they will be. It's a huge, huge challenge for us, and we have to play a lot better to have an opportunity to win the game.
I know you're focused on what you're doing here, but I was just curious if you've been paying attention at all to the Cowboys. Deron Bland, he's got 4 pick sixes on the season. It ties an NFL record. Just your thoughts maybe on what you've seen from him and what the success means.
No, I haven't followed it, but I did see, I think yesterday, I saw a highlight of him making a diving interception. Was that yesterday? A diving interception, pick it up and go for a touchdown? Yeah, I did see that. That was a great play. I usually try to watch some of the NFL stuff a little bit. I don't get to see games, but the highlights. And I saw that play. I'm like, wow, that was a great play. And then when it was Bland, I was even more excited for him. That's great. I didn't know he was having that type of season, but that's awesome. He's a great young man. I didn't get a chance to know him very well. He stayed for one more semester when I got here, and so I just kind of knew him through trying to help him through school his last semester here. But what a respectful, nice young man. I'm happy for him.
Coach, going back to last year's game against San Diego State, the odds of you guys winning 15 points, 13 seconds, do you vividly remember the onside kick from Dylan Lynch and then what happened in the last, minute and a half of that game?
Yeah, well, I remember those things, scoring and then getting a 2-point conversion and then, executing the onside kick. And then, in one play, Jake hit Nico and safety took a little bad angle and Nico outran him. And that's really all I remember. The rest of what I remember is they were kicking our butt all game, so I do remember that part too.
When you guys were having the conversations yesterday, the Tell the Truth Sunday, were you kind of surprised by how much New Mexico was able to run the football, knowing that San Jose State was able to do the same thing? Did you think those adjustments would be made either before the game or at halftime?
Well, they were different runs, different style of runs, but we didn't tackle very well, and one of New Mexico's strengths is their offensive line, and they have really good backs. And so they ran through a lot of arm tackles, and we need to do a better job of running our feet and getting guys on the ground. And then holding point up front, where they don't, they can't get into the second level as fast. And so, that's one of their strengths for sure. But they hit a big play over the top of us, and then an unfortunate play where the quarterback fumbled the ball and our corner stopped because the quarterback fumbled the ball and then threw it over his head. That was unfortunate. But, their offensive line played well and their backs, ran really hard. But we have to do a better job of controlling the line of scrimmage, and if they do get to the second level, of tackling at the second level.
And to follow up on that, what adjustments, if any, will you make this week to ensure that happens?
Well, they're different they're different teams, and each week is different. So like when you compare San Jose to what New Mexico did, 2 different styles, and these guys run the ball well. They have a very physical offensive line, and so I'm sure Coach Coyle will do a nice job with the defensive staff of doing our best to put guys in a position to be successful. Thank you.
Morning.
Morning, Coach. I asked you this last week. I have to ask you this again too. The run defense, giving up 300 yards, second game in a row. You talked last week about how it was embarrassing against San Jose State. I assume you feel the same way against New Mexico. I guess your thoughts, your emotions, and then what adjustments you'll make for this next game against San Diego State.
Well, we're very disappointed, and we're unaccustomed to having these type of games. We've had 2 weeks in a row where we played poorly in terms of the run defense, for sure. And like Coach was just alluding to, it's different styles, different teams, and we just got to do a better job across the board. Starting with me, making sure that our guys are understanding what's needed. We've played this defense for a long time, and we've defended these type of runs throughout the course of utilizing this defense. So it's not anything that we haven't seen before. It comes down to a matter of execution at times, tackling better, getting off blocks. You can say all you want. If you really look at the film and understand the scheme, I could point out where a breakdown may have been, and the run was able to break on us. But it's happened way too often in these last couple of weeks. So it's our job, it's my job to get it right, get it fixed, and we're going to do everything we can. We talked to the players about it yesterday, and it's our responsibility to get it done here this week.
That play where Lavelle Bailey picks off the pass and then ends up fumbling it right back to New Mexico. I mean, huge momentum change. It could have gone, really either way for either team.
Right.
What are you thinking as that play is developing?
Well, I thought he did a great job initially because they had run that play earlier in the first half and hit it behind him. It was a play-action pass. It was a hard recognition play for the linebackers. They had pulled they ran counter pass, so it's a run. He's getting guards pulling, which forces him to freeze, and then they hit the one in behind him for about a 20-yard gain on I think it was the drive that they got a field goal on. But he did a great job reading it the second time. We had pressure coming with Maurice off the edge, I think, which might have got the quarterback to throw the ball a little prematurely, but Lavelle was right where he needed to be, made the play. And we worked very hard on setting up returns. We talk about the interception play becoming like a punt return, and everybody has a job to do. So we drill that every week. And it was beautiful to see as we started, Cam Braca blocked the intended receiver. The wall started forming. Malachi, the quarterback, tried to go make a play, and Malachi knocked him off his feet, and it looked like we might have a chance to take it the whole way. The unfortunate thing, the guy that was on the ground is actually the guy that came up and caught him here late on the play, and he punched the ball out, made a great effort. I'm sure Lavelle would tell you he wished he had the ball in his outside arm, not his inside arm, and had it high and tight like we coach and we teach, but he was excited about making the play, and the ball ended up in play. Could have easily been punched out of bounds right there. It was close to the sideline, but it wasn't. And, you see that happen. You see that happen in the NFL. Every weekend there's a crazy play like that a guy comes from behind and makes a great play. Saw it in a game the other day. I'm trying to remember what college game was on earlier in the day, but a guy made a similar type play. Might have been the Oregon State made a similar play and knocked the ball out. But, it comes down to, execution there. But we came back out, and we got another interception. It was back-to-back interceptions. At that point in the game, we felt like we were still playing solid. Not great, but solid. We were winning with 7 minutes left in the third quarter, I believe it was still 14-12, and that's when they got the ball back after the second interception. So we just didn't capitalize. I wish we would have returned it all the way and got a score there, but that's part of the game.
And I did want to ask you about that, but you kind of touched upon it. So Dean gets the interception not soon after you guys turned the ball, I guess, back over to New Mexico. Were you surprised that you didn't capitalize on either of those turnovers?
Obviously, you want to score. I'm sure our offense is doing everything they can to score. At that point in the game, you felt it was tight. You knew it was going to be a dogfight right to the end, and points were at a premium, like they are in most games. And we just didn't get the opportunity to take the lead or improve on the lead that we had there at that point, because that would have been big had we been able to do that. But that's the unfortunate part that happened.
Coach, we know injuries are never an excuse, but you've had a few on the defensive side of the ball. Can you give us an update on the health of the defense going into San Diego State?
Well, our biggest issues have been up front, and I think we'll have to see how this week goes. Gabriel Lightfoot has really stepped up his game for us this year, and missing him certainly affected the group. Like Coach had alluded to, Johnny didn't play but a handful of plays because he wanted to try to play, but when he got in there, he wasn't very effective. And but the other guys, have got to step up and play better. They know that. It wasn't a matter of effort. There were some technique issues, and there was some mental errors that hurt us as well. But at the end of the day, it's my job to ensure that we don't make those mental errors, that our technique is better, and we'll line up with 11 guys out there that are going to fight like crazy to win this game.
And you got a taste of Maiden for San Diego State last year, and he was able to get you on some play action last year. We've seen what he can do running the ball. How would you explain the threat that he is at that position for the Aztecs?
Well, I think they're a unique team in that sense, in that the quarterback, they have designed quarterback runs, and he's very effective. He's like a big tailback when he takes off running. He's not just a fast guy. He's strong. He's big. He's got really good speed. He can, where he's dangerous is when plays break down, and he has a tendency to quickly tuck the ball and look to run. And he's effective doing it. Some guys just tuck the ball and they have trouble escaping. He doesn't because of his speed. So we're going to have to do a good job trying to keep him in the pocket. But with him, their skill players are very good. Their running backs have speed. 23 is the fastest guy who will play all year. And they utilize different packages. They last week against San Jose featured a big, heavy package, which traditionally they had used in short yardage and goal line, but they used it all over the field. So we got to get prepared for that. And we know we're going to get a heavy dose of the run game. There's no question. We've got to prove that we can stop it. I'm sure they're excited about seeing if they can do what's happened the last couple of weeks, and we're bound and determined that we're not going to let that happen.
And given how long you've been around the game and how long he's been around the game, any small world connections with Brady Hoke or some trigger points with him that come to mind?
Well, no, I knew Brady when I was coaching for the Bengals. Brady came down and spoke at our clinic when he was at Michigan, and I've just known him and his brother John over the years. We've been just through our careers passing competitively and stuff like that. He's a heck of a guy. He's an outstanding coach. Was a great D-line coach when he was coaching D-line, and got to visit with him about D-line play over the years. And he's got a great personality. Funny guy, just a really good person, great leader for that team, and has done a phenomenal job there. So, he's one of the really good guys in coaching. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Well, Coach, we have some idea of how the roller coaster works, but for much of the year, you guys are putting up big scoring numbers, even going into this game, 7th in the country in third down conversions, and those numbers weren't the same Saturday. Do you have some thoughts on how to get the mojo back for the offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately one is it starts with me, and just I got to make sure that I'm putting guys in a position to be successful. And, one of the things that I think's been, good for us just over the course of the season is when we can kind of play our tempo and dictate the pace of play. But you got to get a first down to get that going. You can't just come out the gates, in an up-tempo deal. And, I think that's one of the things where we excel. And so, I think a big part of it is just making sure what we're doing to start drives, start series, and give our guys a chance to be successful. And, I think that starts with me, really between drives, making sure that, could we come out the gate, we've scored touchdowns on 7 of our 11, first drives, we've gotten points on 8 of the 11. So usually we start, we generally start fast, generally. It's about, not hitting those lulls, and that starts with me.
And I know you had a different role last year, but what are your memories of the incredible comeback against the Aztecs last year?
It's not over till it's over, and honestly, during the game the other night, I was kind of having flashbacks a little bit to that, going, man, we're going to do the exact same thing. We kicked the field goal. I was like, we're getting the onside kick, so incredible experience. I've never been a part of something quite like that. And, the crazy thing is, they were getting after us all game long, just looking at the cut-ups from last year, they were, it was 28-17 with about 2 minutes to go, 2.5 minutes to go, and we were not moving the ball great and not running the ball great, and, we still found a way, and, I've never been a part of something like that, and, it's not over till it's over.
Yeah, and could there be a correlation from that to where the team finds itself right now, even though your goals have had to be readjusted the last couple weeks, that this season isn't over till it's over?
Yeah, ultimately there's still a lot to play for. This is a rivalry game. How we won the game last year, I know that they're going to have a chip on their shoulder, as a result of that. But you look at if we could 3 10-win seasons in a row, but you got to win 9 to get to 10, so there's a lot to play for this weekend. When you look at everything from a recruiting standpoint to the rivalry piece, and our guys, I'm sure, have a lot of friends on that team down there, so I think there's definitely there's no need for motivation still. We're not going to play in the conference championship, and that is what it is. So, the motivation still should be there.
Good morning, Coach.
Morning.
What led to not running the ball as much as you have in games past? I know Malik was getting bottled up in the second half, but he only ran the ball twice in the second half.
Yeah, and kind of, like what I said at first, I got to take accountability for, just making sure that we're doing, what we need to do, to be successful. And part of that is running the ball and not getting impatient with it. And, I think that's, just the maturing side of my process, like don't get impatient, if we're in 2nd and 10, if we can still run the ball, in 2nd and 10 and still put ourselves in 3rd and manageable. So yeah, that's my responsibility.
And as far as Logan Fife, what were some of the characteristics of his struggles after the first quarter?
It's not necessarily isolated to Logan. We actually watched the film as a whole offense yesterday just to show that it wasn't, just one person. It's kind of, everything from maybe my call to, a receiver missing a block on the perimeter on something where we had numbers and, had an opportunity for a big play and, one guy misses a block, or it's a protection thing where, guys are wide open. We just get one guy gets beat. And so that's the tough part about it is when you play quarterback, everybody sees it's the quarterback that's the one, but it wasn't just him. I think that he's not the only one. We pressed at times trying to make stuff happen, as opposed to just kind of playing the play. But yeah, just when you're the quarterback, everybody focuses on that. But really it was kind of a culmination of 10 of 11 maybe doing exactly what they needed to do, or just one of those days for him, and unfortunately he just plays that position where it's got all eyes on him.
And last question, does not having Jacob Spomer change anything that you do in terms of play calling? Or
probably not so much the play calling. I actually thought that Kingsley did a nice job in his first, for his first start here and first kind of extended action here. Probably not so much the play calling, but we're gonna do what we do. But there's just one of those things where left tackle is an important position, and Jacob Spomer's a really good player, and you're always gonna miss a really good player. So it's not so much maybe the adjustments on that, but it's just one of those things. Kingsley in his first extended action, you hope that he's a little bit better the second time around, a little bit better the third time around. Yeah.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
With it being the last regular season game, San Diego State's 3-8. Is there any desire to open up the playbook and kind of just let things fly a little bit more than you usually do? Because conference title hopes are pretty much out of the picture now.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because, I think one of the things that when you look over the last couple weeks, I think one of the things people have tried to do and they're trying to do is not let us let it fly. You look at San Jose State's plan and New Mexico's plan. They clearly were trying to take away big plays. If you look at the depth of the safeties in those two games versus where they were at in their other games, so I think one of the parts, a big part of kind of opening up the playbook is we got to sustain drives. That's what it comes down to in order to open up the playbook, we got to sustain drives, and that comes back to getting that first down on things. And so, there's a lot of stuff we didn't call the other night, but we also ran 38 plays before the game got to a point where we just kind of had to throw the ball, at the end of the game, so, 38 plays, that's not good enough, through 3 quarters. And, so I think that's part of it too, is we'll let it fly around. We'll open up the playbook just as it goes. We just got to sustain drives.
Not to completely look back on what happened on Saturday, but 2 of the 3 season-long captains are on offense, right? Mose and Eric Brooks. I'm curious if they or anybody else on offense stood up and addressed the team after not just what happened on Saturday, but maybe the last 2 Saturdays going into this last week.
Yeah, when you look at kind of our issues on offense over the last 2 games, it's really 2 different games. We put the defense in some really bad positions this past game. If we sustain drives, if we're better on offense, then our defense isn't on the field as long. But we did give some guys some opportunities when we met as an offense yesterday just to talk about things. And so it wasn't like some players only meeting or something like that. But we had some guys that did kind of address the group. Just kind of after watching the film as a whole unit.
When Mikey came into the game, was that your decision? Was it Coach Tedford's decision? Did Mikey have something to do with it by saying, hey, I'm ready, maybe I can go in there? Like, what were the conversations that were had before it happened?
It wasn't Mikey. I think one of the things that I think is really special about really Mikey and Logan, they have a good relationship. And Mikey was actually extremely supportive of Logan. And one of his things that he was talking about was just trying to help Logan get in a rhythm and get back in a rhythm. That was a group discussion, collective decision as far as making that happen.
Is it an accurate assessment to say that Mikey didn't look 100% comfortable when he came into the game, or am I just completely making that up? I mean, it didn't seem like he got into a rhythm.
Yeah, I mean, they came after him, pretty good, and what they did on defense was try to create chaos anyways. And I've never played quarterback, but I can imagine going into that in the fourth quarter in a game that you're down and you've got to lead a comeback. I mean, that's, you're not necessarily being thrust into the best position, kind of like Logan against San Jose State. You're not being put into the best position, and then being asked to help us climb out of a hole. That's difficult, especially with the chaos that they try and create up front.